We've got green lights, we've got noise, we've got things going on. That means we can start. Hello, I hope you're feeling festive. And welcome to episode 63 of the CodeZone. Sorry I missed last week. That was a bit of a pain. Basically, it's Christmas and I've got family things to do. So I had to go and attend a Christmas dinner last week. Well, let's have a look who's here. So far, not too many people tonight. I don't think many people are expecting a stream, but we've got Speedy. Speedy was first, just for the record. We've got Magetsub, Standard Int here. Standard Int has got coronavirus for Christmas. Oh, that's nice, mate. And Danderstein, oh, you're here too. Good. That's just going to add loads of pressure onto the evening. Josh, undefined, has a wave. Right. Well, tonight, if you're new to the Code Zone, we would normally be talking about some editor stuff, and I've been doing some editor stuff. In fact, I'll just quickly run it and see what happens. Here is the editor. If I go to Workspace, Construction, I can add a geometry layer, and I can then select from the geometry layer a rectangle, and I can make it crash, because that's all it does. So we're not actually doing any editor stuff tonight, because I thought we would do something a bit more fun for the festive season, and we'll try and code something pretty much from scratch, just to see if we can, because it might form the basis of something fun to do next year. Let's have a look. Yeah, Danderstein's not so silently judging me. That makes sense. Dr. Lokes, hello. Gist99, hello. Yeah, so we have I have added sort of all the vector stuff to the editor, the geometry drawing things. There's a lot of bugs. It's held together with chewing gum and sellotape at the moment. I think I'll just leave that be. Right, is everybody in a festive mood? Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, it is sort of one of those times of the year where people do tend to, be a bit happy. Work's almost finished. The weather outside is frightful. Right. Well, I'm feeling particularly festive. What have we got tonight? I have got, Bixie, the OG Bixie. Not quite. It's one of those days where nothing works out as I want it to. Well, what you need to do, my friend, is be as festive as I am, because I am coding with my buddies. I've got myself a massive mug of tea. And for those that care, it actually says on it, be reasonable, do it my way. Yeah. That's very much the anti-one-low coder message. To back up the cup of tea, I've also got a stonking great big glass of Bailey's because it's festive. That's very nice. And, on the other side, I'm also wearing novelty oversized elf slippers, which is pretty cool, right? So I'm feeling festive. And what I thought we would try and do tonight is I wanted to sort of spice up the stream a little bit. Make it feel a little bit more festive. And to do that, hang on, that's weirdly opaque tea. Well, it's got milk in it. Where is your elf on a shelf? We have something, one of us, a member of my family, has brought home the naughty elf from school. And the naughty elf gets up to all sorts of tricks. Milk, well, yeah, you tend to have sort of milk in black tea in the UK. It's just how it is. Tea without milk. I mean, don't put milk in green tea or anything like that. That's just a bit weird. I wanted to sort of, anyway, make my my overlay a little bit more festive. And I've had a quick look to see, was there anything you can buy things to put sort of like falling snow or ice and that sort of thing. I thought, look, do you know what? To hell with it. Let's code something and see if we can get OBS, which is what I use for streaming, to sort of apply it to the overlay. And we're doing it completely from scratch. So it's a very simple thing. So I think the seasoned programmers amongst you might find it a little bit uninteresting, I should say. But there'll be some people that might actually want to do so. We're going to do simply snow falling. It's a classic programming test. Very simple thing to do. Remember to write good code, or else you might get coal for Christmas. See, Magetsub is in the festive spirit already. Yeah, you're definitely getting coal. Magetsub has spent the last week writing his own implementation of a condition variable. Just have a think about that for a minute. Right, so I've got here in front of me a source file. It is the default Pixel Game Engine source file. Look at that, it's just exactly copied from the header file. So I'm going to just make sure it works. Let's get rid of the editor for today. And we'll, oh, breaking news. What do you reckon the breaking news is? Is it going to be very exciting? Let's have a look. Breaking news. This is according to the BBC. Breaking news is... Oh, MP Peter Bone loses seat after recall petition triggering by-election in the previously Conservative constituency of Wellingborough. Right, yep, I definitely needed my day interrupted to hear that. So let's put you on silent for the time being. Yeah, Magetsup, you're definitely getting some coal. Right, let's do what we normally do with Pixel Game Engine programs and immediately erase the content of these functions because it's just clutter that's in the way. And I'm going to call this one today Festive Fun 2023. You can see we really are starting from scratch. So the idea is we're going to have some snow falling, and then we're going to somehow get OBS to color key or chroma key the running Pixel Game Engine program to add a nice graphical effect to the overlay for the stream. Am I going to be running? Yes, not tonight, but in what time is it now? It's 20 to 9 UK time. So, 5. Yeah, in about 7.5 hours, I will be. Oh, will I be running for Wellingborough? No, I don't think so. I don't think I'd make a very good politician. Gruffler, hello. Right, so where were we? We're going to have snow falling. It's a classic sort of programming test, sort of one of those. As soon as you get a new engine or something to play with, you should try and make a starfield or some snowfall or some rainfall or something like that, because it's a good little test that you got everything set up properly. But I thought we'd see how this goes, and you've also got to remember the show's only really about an hour-ish long, so I've not got much time to do things. Let's start then by, we know we're going to need some snowflakes, and the snowflakes are going to have sort of some various properties. They're going to have like a falling speed, they might get blown around by the wind, they're going to have sort of a distance from the camera, although it'll be pseudo 3D, so we'll fake all that. So let's create a particle to begin with called a snowflake. And we'll have no social politics in the chat tonight, please. Exactly, like they're a good project standard. Remember to make the snow accumulate. We don't need to make the snow accumulate, so else then if the stream went on long enough, you wouldn't be able to see anything. We'll see how far we get. I'm noticing that I'm drinking the Baileys more than the tea, so this could go poorly. Right, I'm going to do everything as floating points. VF2D, which is a floating point 2D vector type, and we'll have pos, we'll have the usual stuff, why not? Do I need acceleration? I don't think I do, but we do need velocity. And we're going to have a... we'll probably need some other things in there as well, but let's have something like a size. Right, and I want to have a vector of all of these, because we're just going to have a static number of these things on the screen at any one time. When they fall off the bottom, we're going to recirculate them and reuse the particle. We'll have a vector of snowflakes. Beck flakes. Right. 1 hour of snowfall is hardly too much. It depends where you are. Will you post the code later on? I'll slap it in your engine. Yeah, isn't your engine like written in Rust and JavaScript and like using SDL6 and all these other incompatible things? How do you handle sleep function in Lua? No idea. It's probably not a good idea. Oh, flipping out. Hang on, I definitely need to turn that down. Thank you very much, Rough Night 86. I hope it's not going to be a rough night tonight. Vector of snowflakes as snowballs. Here we go. Danderstein's starting already. Diego, hello. Right, so let's just get things up and running. So we're going to need some random number generation, and I know I'm going to need sort of floating point random number generation. So I'm just going to hack that in now, and I may as well make this nice and easy. So I'll have float R&D, but I'm going to pass in a minimum and a maximum value whilst we're doing this. So fmin float fmax. You can tell we're hacking today. We've not got any consts anywhere. And I'm going to return. We're going to do this the really old school way. Float of rand divided by float of rand max. And we're going to take all of that. This is where I've got to remember how to do this. Take all of that and multiply it by f max, take f min, because that's the range that we're scaling over, and I need to offset it by f min. So that should give me a random number, there or thereabouts, between f min and f max. It just saves me having to type that all over the place each time. Do you see when? Since when is SDL? That's what I mean. Like Bixie, you're using these sort of esoteric versions of things that aren't quite released yet. Got some more Baileys. Num 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 num. Yeah, you see, Magetsa would grab some 3D Perlin noise function to modify the snowflake's path. Let's just see what we get, right? Let's just make stuff fall to begin with, and then we'll make it fall in a pretty way. So on user create, I'm just going to. Oh, how many snowflakes are we going to have? I guess is the first thing to worry about. So I don't know. I don't know how many is a good number. Let's have. Let's have 100, 500, 200. Let's go for 257. Let's do 257 snowflakes. So vec flake. Oh my god, that's not right, is it? Let's try that again. Vec flakes dot resize 257. Yeah, that's going to annoy some people. Josh undefined, exactly. Welcome to the stream. Right, so we're going to fill this up with randomly positioned dots for the time being. So let's do that. For auto, we don't want to use const auto because I'm going to actually be editing these snowflakes in place. So at the moment, that vector of flakes has been filled with sort of just, well, probably zeroed out versions of this basic struct, but it could be potentially filled with junk as well. So we're just going to fill all of those slots, but I'm not using the const because I want to be able to write back to this vector. Auto flake in my vec of flakes. What do we want to set on this? So flake dot pos equals. We can use our rand function. Oh, we've best set some screen dimensions, haven't we? So 256 by 240 seems a little small, so we'll do 1280 by 720, and we'll do 1 to 1. Now I'll scale that up when I put it on the OBS screen. Rough night instantly on Sunday. What is standard vector? See, that's interesting, right? Somebody, I knew as soon as I do something like this, everybody will go, "Oh, actually, hang on, what does that do?" And people, I'll get letters. People will physically write me letters. Right, random between. I'm going to get all sorts of casting nonsense. I've got to be careful, haven't I, when I'm on stream? Casting nonsense now because I've set the language standard to C++ 20. So I think, just for the sake of keeping things sane, I'm going to add in another vector, which is the float version of the screen size. So vScreen. And in on user create, that's the first thing I'm going to set is vScreen equals float screen width and float screen height. So basically I'm doing this just to shut the compiler up, because now when I start to do things, so vScreen dot x, well, 0 to vScreen dot x, and d0 to vscreen.y. Excellent. Resize means it allocates and default constructs the entry. Oh, hello, Annie, by the way. I didn't get the... Oh, you like my vector size. 257 snowflakes, I think. Just nice, right? Alta's here as well. Oh, very good. We're having a festive one tonight, guys. We've got some festive drinks, and I've got a bag of Maltesers, and we're not doing editor stuff. We're doing snowflakey stuff, and I've got my novelty oversized elf slippers. Bogu. Hello. I can't believe you guys are such nerds, literally discussing this in the chat. Right, so we've got our flake positions. Let's just draw them. Let's see where we've actually drawn them out. So in on user update, we want to iterate through all of the flakes. So this time I'm going to get the same thing. Flake. There we go. Flake. I can actually sort of, for drawing, do it this way. Now, we may end up sort of drawing and doing the physics in the same loop, but we'll see. I mean, for what we're doing today, it's just a bit of fun. Let's have a look. So draw decal is what I'm going to use because I have pre-prepared, which I know is meant to be from scratch, but I've pre-prepared a sprite, which is this. It's not quite a white square because if I put the background in, it's a white anti-aliased circle. Why have I done this? One, because if I'm doing decals, which is what I want to do, I want it to be as lightweight as possible, then I've not actually got a way of drawing circles in the Pixel Game Engine. But also, I kind of felt it would be nice to sort of emulate them being a bit too close to the camera and a bit too far away from the camera, maybe, so they're slightly out of focus. We might not get that far tonight, but let's we'll try anyway. So I've exported that to a PNG file in the background. So we need to load that. Now, in Pixel Game Engine, we can load a graphic as a renderable. And we'll see renderable, GFX flake. And I've just got the one flake. You probably should have multiple flakes. Let's load that. GFX flake.load. And it's just called snowflake.png. I hope. It's a disc, not a circle, actually. Good, 257. I like the fact that we should use this number more often. I think next year in some videos we'll start using numbers like this, get the YouTube commenters really riled up. Okay, let's draw them. So we're going to use draw. Do you know what? In case we end up wanting to rotate these things, if we do change over to some like pretty effect later, we'll use draw rotated decal. Also means I can draw the disc from its center. So flake.pos, which has come in as our position, GFX flake. Is that what we call it? Yes, GFX flake.decal. Let's get the decal. Angle for now is 0. The center. Now the size of that decal is 64 by 64 pixels. So I need to set this center to 32 by 32. And I'm going to scale it down a bit because it's very big. Now the scale might change. If we're going for a sort of a pseudo depth effect, we're going to want to change the scale. Just so things can stay on the screen, I'm just going to jump over to the next line there. So scale, for the time being, I'm just going to set to, I don't know, 0.1. This will be quite big snowflakes. That'll be about 6.5 pixels, won't it? When we draw it. And I'm just going to tint it right now by its default OLC white. Okay, let's see what happens. Does it compile first? It helps if I have the correct project set, doesn't it? No. No, don't stop the build. Just set yourself as the startup project. Startup project. Clear the screen. By default, it's already set to black. Now, we might want to set it to some crazy colour yet. I don't really know how OBS does colour keying, so I'm hoping it's as intuitive as you'd expect it to be. But Okay, this is a good start. So we've got a random assortment of snow balls at the moment. mm. If you've not tried Bailey's, I thoroughly recommend it. Is that against Twitch terms of service? I don't know these days. Anyway, good. That's running nicely. We don't really need to draw the screen each time. If we're doing everything in decals, I could really crank the frame rate up. But you know what? I'm actually going to cap it, because I've got a feeling if OBS has to constantly sort of sample from the running Pixel Game Engine application, probably not going... Oh, hang on. Thank you. It's probably not going to enjoy having the graphics card absolutely hammered. So take that off. I'm going to VSync, set that to true. So yeah, Pixel Game Engine can actually be capped with the frame rate. So if I run this now, we should see. Yeah, there we are. So 60-ish frames per second. Good, good, good. Now, we could try setting up OBS already. Let's try setting up OBS to try and capture this screen and see what happens, because I don't know. It might get very confusing having lots of things on the screen at once. So let me go over to OBS now. Does cohesion do anything still? No, not really. Not anymore. It's kind of been fixed with maths, although if you talk to some people, they'll argue that it hasn't been. Right, what am I doing? I'm adding a window capture. Window capture. Let's call that festive scene. Okay, and source visible. Okay. And it's always going to choose that one. I don't want it to capture the cursor. And click OK. So hopefully for you guys, that's just now stuck like the screen on top of the stream. Oh, hang on, I'm moving all the things around here I shouldn't be. Let's pick festive scene. There we go. Right, so I can move that around. So can you guys sort of see? Yeah. What I'm going to do, just because that could get very annoying and I don't know how it's going to work, I'm just going to pop that there for the time being. So it's kind of like out the way a little bit. Because I've got, when I start this application and, well, close it and restart it, I'm hoping OBS is just going to latch onto it again. Set it to additive blending. Well, that's what I want to check, because now I can actually set some filters on it. So let's pull this over so you guys can see what I'm doing. If I click on add, now is it chroma key or color key? What's the difference? Chroma. I guess chroma. Does chroma even apply anymore? Is that a thing? Luma key. Luma equals brightness. Luma key. Okay, let's try Luma key. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, it's fine. What's the sliders doing? Is it a bit brutal? Don't know what that's doing. Luma key anyway. So, well, we might be changing some of those later on. I can't obviously make them all transparent. Settings only apply to standard dynamic range videos. And it's done. Excellent. Okay. Cool. Right, that was a good stream then, wasn't it? Right. See you all next year. No, obviously we're going to try and animate this a little bit. Right, so the next thing to check is if I close the Pixel Game Engine window, obviously it disappears from there, but now if I run it again, yeah, go. Okay, good. It does actually find it again. That's nice. Good, good, good. Slater USA, yes. It is a bit like that, wasn't it? Right, let's get these doing something. So we're going to have this is just drawing stuff. Now, the physics, on the other hand, we're going to do beforehand. So let's see. When I say physics, I'm sort of physics with a massive wavy double quotes in the air. If we're changing the properties of the flake, I can't make that cast. 6. So, the first thing we want to do is some basic kinematics, I suppose. So we want to take the flake's position and update it with the flake velocity, multiplied by f elapsed time. We're not bothering with acceleration in this. Now, we might want to add noise and stuff to this later on if we want, but right now I just want to make things move downwards. So we need to update the velocity. Flake.vel. I'm not going to have it sort of accelerating towards the bottom of the screen. We are just going to have it sort of set. So let's just let's do it by hardcore for the time being. So we've got no vertical component and some component to push it down the screen, some Y component. So no horizontal component, 10 vertical component, whatever this means. No idea what these speeds are going to be. Now we're going to check, is the flake off the screen? So if flake.pos.y is greater than vscreen.y plus some boundary, because I don't want necessarily the things to sort of pop when they get to the bottom of the screen. So we'll plus, I don't know, probably quite a large one, some 50 pixels, something like that. 0, 0 is top right, that's correct. Yeah. Oh, sorry, top left. Top right? You tripped me up then as well. Everybody thought... Right. So if it gets then we're just simply going to set its Y position to something else. So we'll set it to random minus 153 and set it to potentially 77. Minus 77. Right, so that's going to give us some noise at the top of the program. There we go. That's for the X, and for the Y. Sorry, that's for the Y, and for the X. We want to do something similar. Flake.pos.x equals random. This time it's just going to be from 0 to screen width. Right, we might actually want to pad that out as well. Why have I chosen these silly numbers? Again, just to irritate people. But primarily what I want is a bit of range off the top of the screen. So we don't sort of see everything sort of appearing in lines. Or it's not too noticeable that as soon as a flake comes off the bottom of the screen, it appears at the top. Right, let's just try running that. No idea what speed this is going to go at, so... Oh. 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 It sort of snowed once. The snowflakes, they disappear. Oh, there they go. Okay. I think for the sake of understanding the scene today, we need to sort of play with time a little bit, just so we can have things a little bit faster and see what happens over time. So what I'm going to do is have a multiplier, f elapsed time, multiplied by, let's do get key, OLC, key space dot be held. If that's the case, then I'm going to multiply it by 10. Else, it's just going to be as is. So I'm just if I hold down the spacebar, we should be able to sort of accelerate time. Perfect. Like I said, I don't want to set it to minus snowflake height. That's what I was saying. As soon as it goes off the bottom of the screen, you see it appear at the top. But see, we're getting this sort of wave of snowflakes. And that's because I've got, when I'm randomly allocating them to begin with, They're literally just randomly allocated in screen space. They should probably be a little bit more dynamic than that. So let's go from -100 to screen Y. Yeah. Very nice. We're playing with the statistical probability of snowflakes here. That's not bad. Good enough. Yeah. Okie dokie. More Baileys. Could really get into that stuff. It's very nice. I bet that's quite nice on Frosties. Now, next thing to do is add some depth. So we have a velocity, but we need to make sure that some of them are sort of different speeds. They fall at different speeds. This is like a pseudo depth. How can we handle this? Because we're also needing to draw these things slightly differently, depending on their depth too. Well, the easiest way, I suppose, would be when we're increasing the y position here, is that for certain flakes it's a different value. So if we pick size to be sort of something that reflects depth, or should we just have depth? Let's have depth, and we'll use that as a sort of an argument in functions to do other things. We need to randomize our depth as well. Flake.depth equals random. I have no idea what we're choosing here. Let's choose 0 to 50. No idea what that means. We're just going to feel it out, see what works. Needs jiggle physics. Yeah, I think we'll add some of those in as well. Well, I think depth is everything, right? So you can make an assumption that all snowflakes are the same, so they all technically fall at the same speed, governed by gravity, but as it's a pseudo 3D thing, we'll perceive them falling at slightly different speed. And yeah, I think I'm going to try adding some, maybe not blur, but we'll see what happens. So we've added some depth. Random depth, we need to also have random depth when the new flake is created. Perhaps we don't, right? That might be one of those things that statistically we're okay, it just disappears. Well, let's put that there anyway. So that's when the flake gets reset. We want it to fall, I guess if it's further away, we want it to fall with less speed. So simply, you could do flake.depth as a divider there. If that's the case, then I'm going to make sure it's a random number between 1 and something. It's just to avoid it going to nan. So that would mean things that are really close fall at 10, things that are far away fall at 10 divided by 50. Probably really too slow. Let's have a look. So we've got some falling at a higher speed than others, but yeah, far too slow. So 50 looks like it's way too high. Let's set that simply then to 5. Because we do want the snowflakes to fall. It's a bit odd if they're just sort of suspended in midair. Space. Final frontier. Okay. Now, the ones that are moving slowly, i.e. the further away ones, I think I want to render those not quite as vibrantly. I want to give the impression of depth. So I can change the function of the colour of what we're drawing them at. So let's do that. Float intensity. Now this is why I think luma key might be a problem. Because if we're basing things based on luminance of the image, I've got a feeling we might start to filter them out from being visible. This is essentially a star field. Well, hopefully we'll add some some noise to it and make them sort of skitter down the screen as well. That'll be nice. Float. What am I doing? I'm changing the color. So float C for color equals. I don't want it to be completely black, so I need a minimum. So we've got a depth of 1 to 5. Let's scale that over. Over the second half of the range of the norm. I'm going to do this in floating point, you see. So I'm going to ultimately construct a color here, which is OLC pixel F, which is not something you see me using very often, but it allows me to specify floating point. C, C, C. Now alpha's not going to work, so we may as well leave alpha at 1. Because I don't think yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Right? Alpha is the composite in my screen. It's not the thing that OBS will see. Can chroma key be set to pure black? These are all things I don't have the answers to. You could tweak the alpha value a bit, right, so it just blends with the black. Yeah, possibly. I could do it the other way around, is what Danderstein's saying. I could actually just change the alpha, make them a bit further away. We might want to. I was thinking maybe the alpha is something we could exploit when we start playing with perhaps focus, but I don't know how far we'll get with that just yet. Why is this giving me an error? Oh, because I've got a thing. So we want a value between 1 and 0 here, where depth is making it lower. So I think we want to at least do 1.0f take flake.depth divided by 5, since we know that's the maximum. So that's to do that. That will ultimately fully cancel out the 1, because the depth can be 5 and it can be 1 as a minimum. So flake.depth. I think I want to do flake.depth take 1, because the minimum we had was 1, wasn't it? So flake.depth take 1 divided by 5, which would again give me almost what I'm looking for. Let's just try that. Because I was going to add a constant on the end and scale it to sort of clamp it to a slightly different range, but I kind of get that for free now, because this is going to be 0 to 4, and so I'll always end up with 4 divided by 5. I'm never quite going to get to 1, which is kind of what I wanted. Yeah. One divided by depth plus 0.1. Yeah, it could be as simple as that. Have a look how this looks. Okay, that's quite nice. Now, as well as depth, we've also got this scale factor, which is a sort of also needs to be taken into account. So let's do float S, which is going to be our scale. We know that 0.1 is about right for an upfront snowflake, so I guess it's always going to be 0.1f divided by flake.depth. So that one is a bit more similar to what Maget's just said. And we'll change these over to S's. There we go. Maybe that's a bit too aggressive. Don't know yet. Now, so far we're assuming that our flakes, there's no wind at all. I think we want to try and add in some perturbation. What if there are 1,025 snowflakes? Let's go and find out. We can do this. 1,025. Does 1025 make it more festive? Does kind of look like you're staring out the window of a spaceship now. I think it's more tricky to see the intensity changes. But we can stick with 1025 for the time being. Now, yes, noise. That's what we're going to start adding in. So how are we going to bodge in some noise? I love the fact we're coding with all these numbers just right there in the code. This is how it should be. This is the dream. No more writing code for other people. So we just basically want to add some randomness to, well, all of this, but randomness going down at least, not... we kind of want randomness on a per flake level and randomness on a sort of a global level as well? Exactly, extra magic. Do the far ones need to be a bit bigger? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think, is it kind of just scaling them out of Oblivion? In which case, flake dot depth divided by 2, maybe. It's just essentially. What do we think? Does that look pretty? It's kind of also scaled the ones that are nice and close as well. If each flake had a size, you could make larger ones fall slower independent of their depth. Well, I think that's the next thing, is actually, yeah, you don't want everything sort of all falling at the same speed, but I think the noise might take that into account now. If we start sort of trying, what I want is, as it's falling down, to kind of, you know, do a bit of a wiggle, or a jiggle, as somebody mentioned earlier. Let's have a look. How can we do this? So let's create a basically something to nudge the velocity vector, I suppose, by a random amount, but a random amount in a direction. I'm just wondering, do we want it to apply to all flakes though? How much does a snowflake sort of independently kind of follow its own path? Don't think they do. Let's add in a wind vector instead. So let's see, VF2D V wind, and we can have V wind change sort of gradually over time and doing things. Yeah, okay, I actually prefer that as a thing. So instead, yeah, V wind is a vector. We're also going to have float F wind angle now and F wind angle target. Right. So I'm going to leak wind angle towards wind angle target, and we'll change periodically wind angle target. So to do that, let's go down into this code here. Physics. Make some space to actually do some coding. If we do F wind angle plus equals F wind angle target take F wind angle times some function 0.99 F potentially times F elapsed time. Don't know how relevant that is for what we're doing. So that's giving me an angle. We've not set what these are just yet, but let's go and construct a wind vector out of that. So V wind equals, basically it's going to be cos of F wind angle and sine of F wind angle. And we're going to change, we're going to scale that by sort of a random amount too. So we'll scale that by a little bit. So this is what gives us that kind of windy nudge. Getting a bit rude, this, isn't it? Let's start. Again, picking numbers out of thin air. By actually, we'll come back to this. I don't think I do want that to change every single frame. Let's set up the wind angle and wind angle target. So on my calculations, going east is 0 degrees and it goes around clockwise. So I'm looking for something that is basically between something either side of 3 pi. Right? Is that right? No, 3/4 of 2 pi. Ugh. This is good, this, isn't it? Not using. Can you skip the screen clearing? Yeah, if I did this with sprites, we can easily do blurring. That's no problem at all. Because I'm using decals, a little bit trickier. Let's set up this wind. Let's just get things set up once and see what happens. So F wind target, wind angle target equals 0.75 F times 2.0 F times pi. This is lovely. So hopefully that's pointing downwards. Hopefully that's pointing downwards. So the velocity is going to be whatever that is. Plus v wind. Let's see where we're at. Oh, I forgot that I've got a polar function. That's right, I do have a polar function. Makes sense, wouldn't it, doing a snowfield? Right, so they're all blowing downwards, which is good. That means I've got the wind angle, hopefully in the right direction. So if I chose, for example, 0.5 F, this should all go to the left. Is that right? Don't know. Yeah, they all go to the left a little bit. And if I change that to 1, they should all go to the right a little bit. Good. It's only a little bit because there's still a dominant falling of the gravity vector. And now we're losing things off the side of the screen. That's what I'm saying. We need to have a slightly larger spread when we're generating. We actually need to generate now off the screen as well. Can someone convey to Javi that the render order of the snowflakes needs to be... Oh. Oh. Tech dude, backseat coding. So I've got a wind angle that I can change sporadically, and we should see sort of a gradual shift towards that. What I now need to do is generate things with more boundaries. So rather than generating, we need to actually look at all sorts of conditions now for the flake being off the screen. So if the flake is off the bottom of the screen, or flake.pos.x is greater than vscreen.x plus 50, we'll put the same boundary in, or flake.pos.x is less than, just for the sake of keeping the characters lined up, it really makes no difference, 0 minus 50. I was actually going to type in 0 minus 50. That's how my brain works. Don't need one of those. If the flake goes off the screen, then we're going to generate a new flake. It no longer necessarily has to be off the top of the screen. Well, it does, right? Because we can't just generate it in the middle of the screen. But it might need to be a lot higher up now to give us flakes that appear on the sides of the screen but look like they're coming in from somewhere near the top. So I'm also going to set this to sort of minus 200, pick in a number, and plus 200. We'll never see some of these flakes, so perhaps having 1025 flakes has made things a little bit better for us. just have a look. So yeah, it is actually working. So it's once we've flushed out this, there's sort of a void, because remember we're not generating snowflakes at the in the same range that we are here. Maybe we should. So when we create the first set of snowflakes up at the top, they're not generated from the same range. Yep. Snobs. Right. Okay. I'm not now really seeing the intensity change as much as I would like them to. Also, it is kind of good enough. I think it's okay. Because what we're going to try now adding is making sure that wind angle target is also skipping about all over the place. Now, I only want to do that sort of every so often, but not sort of predictably. So let's say float f wind change countdown equals. We'll start with 10. So f wind change countdown minus equals f elapsed time. Oh, we need to take. Oh, what's this mess? Elapsed time. No, come on. Oh, I'm in the wrong function. Ooh. Okay. That one there. Wind change time is f elapsed time. If f wind change countdown is less than or equal to 0, we want to first reset it. F wind change countdown is equal to random, let's say a minimum of 4 seconds before the next one and a maximum of 20 seconds for the next one. Oh, knocked my mouse over. The Bailey's is going well, isn't it? It's going good, this. I like this. That's very nice, Annika. Well done. Wind change countdown is going like that. When I want to change, at this point is when I want to change the target. So let's, what did we do? So this was our function for setting the target. So it's going to be going straight down. Plus, people are going to love this code. I'll post this code somewhere for people to enjoy. We want to sort of deviate that by 0.25 in either way, don't we? So from minus 0.25 to plus 0.25. Stick an F in there for good measure. Okay. In the UK, we get like 1 day a year where it might snow. Everything stops. Like the whole system collapses, and people get very excited about it. In my day, it used to snow quite a lot in winter, but it doesn't anymore. Right, come back to that bit in a minute, because I do think we want some sort of high frequency perturbation as well. Well, it's falling. It did change direction. I think it's too subtle. Add the random window angle before multiplying. Add the random window before multiplying. Wind angle. Beef pants. I bought a 32 by 8 LED matrix and coded it to put snow in my window. Oh, that's very nice. I bet that looks really authentic. I bet it's just like sitting out in Lapland, watching the reindeer frolic across the vistas. 75 times R&D times 2. Ooh, 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 ooh. What are we looking for? So on this... what am I doing? Physics. Here. 0.75 times 2 times pi plus... That's what I am doing. Is that what you mean? It could be that the leak is also very slow or not fast enough. So let's actually slow that down a bit. Let's set that to 0.8. It's subtle, but it's there. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Maths fail. Maths fail, everybody. Not surprising. And the headphone failies, and I've knocked my mouse over again. I use a vertical mouse, right? They're ugly, but it's comfortable. I don't think I've done so bad for getting all that. I'm getting complained at because I'm using numbers. Right, let's go in that way, and then it's going that way a bit. It leads that way a bit. Subtly changing that way. Right, so when we're running at normal speed, the first thing I'm learning is normal speed is far too slow anyway. So it's kind of like, that's kind of the speed you want, but we don't want things to change quite as often. So if I'm going to bodge in a times 10 here. I'm going to get rid of that warning. Do you know what? No, I'm going to leave the warning. I'm going to leave that there for all the people that say that is different to a floating point number. Festive coding. Well, we thought we'd try and get the stream looking a little bit more festive. There we go. Now if I hold the spacebar, it goes lots of snow. Oh, there we go. We can actually sort of see the behaviour of things as it's happening. Getting a bit intense, that snow. Perikio XD. Howdy. Warp speed. Warp snow, Mr. Scott. Okay. Right, so the big test is, what does this start to look like on the stream? I'm going to drag this over to a different window and hopefully... Oh, look at that. That's interesting, isn't it? Look at... Right, so the output, because I'm changing to a window that's running on a different graphics card, Pixel Game Engine is happy with that, but you can see OBS's capture and see when I'm dragging it over. It still works, but no, it's interesting, fascinating stuff. And I'm going to make this now the size of the overall display. Yeah. Now, how see? That's not. Let's see. Luma isn't quite right. Sounds like something you do in Miami. Right, so I don't think Luma key is the correct one here, because look, like it gets just a bit nasty and a bit messy in the background. I've also got to have that fully on the screen. Yeah, because I think that's because we're using it based on intensity. It's kind of, so let's change the filter a little bit. Let's try filters. So that was with Luma key. It's going to get difficult for you guys to see what's going on. I'm going to... this will make the whole screen go blank. So let's... are you sure you want to remove Luma key? Yes. There we go. Let's try adding color key. Okay, but the color I'm going to choose is a custom color. Select color, black. Oh, pick screen color, black. Okay. still looks a bit rubbish, but I get the opportunity to dial back the overall transparency. Increase the contrast a little bit, that's a bit better. Oh, thank you. You've come and joined a very strange stream tonight. And brightness. I don't think brightness does it. Smoothness. What happens if we change smoothness? Oh, there we go. That's nice. Similarity. It's a sort of zip out. And we'll just change that opacity again. Just dial it down just a touch. Or leave it nice and intense. I think leaving it intense is pretty good, actually. Right, so I'm going to... Sure, I've got to put this window somewhere where it's no longer in the way. Now let's close this one down. Have a look at some code on the screen. There we are. That's pretty festive, isn't it? That's not bad. It's not bad for an hour's hacking together. Let's catch up with some of the chats. Now, if I put capture screen, is this going to capture... Oh, good. Right, so I can actually have that in the background as long as it's on the... Theme stream achieved. There we go. So, yeah, a bit of a strange one this week. We've not done any editor stuff. I have actually done quite a lot of editor stuff. I was streaming on Discord yesterday in the afternoon because I took a day off work. And we actually did a lot of things. We've added now geometry and vector stuff into the editor. It's very fragile, but it works. And I've also got Lua scripts actually handling the generation of all that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Can we link it to the Twitch chat so we can each redeem our own unique stuff? Well, that's the thing. In the past, I have done things, because there is actually a Pixel Game Engine Twitch sort of API. It's probably woefully out of date, so I'd have to have a look at it. I have some dandruff on my stream. Yes, I do. Yeah, it's a cold dandruff. I also have some Baileys on my stream. I'm going to have another one of these. So I think that's quite nice. It does open up a lot of possibilities. For a long time, I've wanted to do something that's a bit Twitch interactive, and we did a game once. I think we hacked it together in an afternoon, where in the Twitch chat you'd randomly get allocated a turret in a land, sort of scorched earth style, and you'd have to enter the power and angle to shoot at your opponents, and it was all good fun. People in the chat were sort of killing each other, and then once you shot each other, you'd respawn in a new location. It would keep track of the scores. It was also good fun to sort of keep track of the login and logouts of Twitch in order to do that. We did the robot arm stuff. Yep, the robot arm stuff was a lot of good fun. Not the screwdriver. Bailey's is good. Do you like rum chata? No, I'm not actually a big drinker. I've seen a detective game that populates the world with chatters names. It's actually pretty easy. I mean, it used to be. I don't know what it's like now. When it was just IRC, interacting with IRC was very, very simple. You can use channel points to make a little label printer in his room. Yeah, that sort of thing. It's fun and it's easy to do. It's a shame the YouTube streaming platform isn't as accessible to do these sort of things. Oh, does anybody want to see my elf slippers again? Look at this. Isn't that great? Oh, look at the size of it. It's really good. I do have two, but I've only taken one off. Yeah, I think it's still IRC too. How festive are you guys being? You'd like to see that snooker game, would you? Oh, now this is interesting, because if I do run something, is it going to kill that particular stream? Let's have a look. The snooker game. Snooker. Can I just do debug start without debugging? Will it actually boot it up? Oh, look at that, it does. There we are. So the snooker game. Yeah, why not talk about the snooker game? It's actually a good thing. The snooker game is a little trial project I've put together. If you've missed a few streams, I've started a community project on my GitHub and on the Discord to get the community to help me solve some maths problems. Basically, we're implementing a 2D geometry library. And to test it out, I thought, well, it'd be fun to create some basic geometry intensive things like a game of snooker. I'm also like going to do a video about state machines in the future, and there's a state machine handling all the scoring behind this. So why is this good? So, well, you can see you've got a cue, you've got a ball, but we've got sort of predictive collisions. Now, these are all based on this geometry library, which is standalone. You don't have to have Pixel Game Engine in order to use it, and it can bounce off the sides. And let's pot a ball. Let's just take a shot. Right? So this is I made some videos about sort of implementing ball physics in this way. Yep, stop giggling, and. That's not changed, but what has changed is that all of the code behind the scenes here is now using this geometry library. So let's pot a red here. There's no scoring implemented just yet. It's not. I don't know who you're saying that to, the Diego, but it's a proper community endeavor. So the game is fine. The game has been coded by myself, but it couldn't have been done without. Let's actually pull it up, because it's amazing to see just how much progress has been made on this. Let me pull it up. Repos. Geometry 2D. I'll pull this over. Oh, you can't see the snowflakes now. That's no good. So it's a single file as usual. We actually have a look at this file. Let me zoom out just a little bit. It's very simple to use. You've basically got all of the basic geometry primitive types. You've got triangles, squares, circles. We're going to do polygons. You've also got rays, and you've got lines, and you've got points. And there's a whole bunch of functions, and this is the function matrix. The function matrix is basically, if you wanted to, you pick the function, does a rectangle contain a point? Right, we've got an implementation for that. That one's pretty simple. But let's say you have something like, does a circle overlap with let's pick this one, overlap with a triangle? Right? So we've got an implementation that will give you that too. So there's a whole bunch of implementations. In total, I think there's going to be about 150 something functions, and this matrix lists all the ones that have been created so far. Rays are a bit different because they sort of physically exist, but they allow you to make assessments and analysis about things that could happen in the future. And that's particularly true of this special case function, project. And that's what the snooker game is using a lot of. So if you project a circle along a ray towards a line, what is the point of contact in the future? That is calculated for you. And so these are also, it contains a complete OLC vector 2D type. This is actually the one that's used in PGE3. It's a little bit more competent than the one that's used in PGE2 at the moment. It is a large file because it consists of all of these functions. But it's certainly worth. How do you get rid of this? Yeah. It's certainly worth, if you just wanted to just look at the code and steal it for your own programs. That's fine too. That's really what it's intended for. It's just this sort of collection of collision routines for all sorts of different primitive versus primitive interactions. It's not a physics engine. It just handles the geometry. And lots of people have contributed to it now. I think it's great. I'm using it quite a lot more than I thought I would do, and I've only been doing this snooker game, but I've got all sorts of plans for different projects to do it with. So yeah, if you've not seen that, do check that out, or contribute to it, because it's one of these rare projects where it's actually open for public contribution. It's too big a thing for me to do this on my own. We've had 78 commits to it already. It's only went live a couple of weeks ago. I'm pretty pleased with the progress it's made. So this is the project function sort of being visualized deliberately. Where is the cue ball going? It's projected against another ball. It's projected against edges, and I've got edges for the jaws and everything. So it just immediately gives you that calculation. Whereas you may naively try to sort of nibble away at the line and see where the point of contact is. Project will allow you to sort of do that straight away. It handles the hardest part of a physics engine. It does, but probably not adequately. I mean, for a good physics engine, you don't just want point contacts. You need to know when things are in like line contact with each other as well. We may have that sort of facility coming up. There are discussions already on the Discord about those sort of things. How do you handle that scenario? Because then it would be nice to sort of extrapolate this into a physics engine. So yeah, the snooker game I'm pretty pleased with. That runs quite well too. I could chroma key the snooker game onto Twitch, couldn't I? In fact, I'm surprised that the OBS hasn't actually picked this up and seen this as a bit of a conflict. So I don't know what happens when I close things down. We have reflection is road mapped into it, so I think Pyrotux is working away on reflection vectors. Normals is reasonably trivial. Yeah, I guess that's a byproduct of reflection, right? You need to know the normal in order to get it. But you're quite right, Diego. Maybe we do need sort of genuine normal extraction functions on a shape at a given point. All of these things require coding specifically for those shapes, and that's why I'm just trying to collect it all in one place. That's the objective of that project. So, I think that's it. It's not too bad. It's pretty festive. An interesting paper about 3D collisions that uses convex. Yeah, our maths isn't that bonkers. It's pretty accessible. Right, I'm going to say to you all, if you celebrate Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, have a fantastic festive time. Just enjoy all of the positive energy around Christmas at this time of year. I'll be around on the Discord server. I'll probably be doing some streams. I'm off Christmas week, so there's a bit more time for some coding, but of course, family as well. So take care of yourselves, and I'm just trying to see, make sure I click the right button this time, as I didn't last time. I will see you soon. Bye bye.